Good evening. My name's Erlinda Roma, and I'm chair of the Design Review Commission, and I'd like to call today's meeting to order at 7:35 p.m. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Tu, will you lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Christine, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Roll call, Commissioner Tu?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
No, the one to your right.
That one?
Say here.
What's that?
Say here into the microphone.
Here.
Vice Chair Salo?
Here.
Chair Roma?
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and on online platforms. To prevent any overlaps in comments, each commissioner will be called upon to speak. Item number 1, public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the Design Review Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Design Review Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as a matter may appear on a future agenda. If you wish to address the Design Commission, please fill out a speaker card that is available on the back table. Once completed, kindly submit the card to the recording secretary. Speakers will be called upon to the podium one by one. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Any forms? Okay. Great. We will go to the next item, consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and recommendations. Will be approved in one motion unless a member of the Design Review Commission or public requests a separate discussion. That's it. Commissioner Meyer, do you have any items that you would like to pull off the consent calendar?
Any what?
Any items that you would like to pull off the consent calendar?
No.
Okay.
No.
Commissioner Tu?
No.
Vice Chair Salo?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So have we, Christine, have we received any public comments to pull any items?
We have not.
Great. All right. Good. All right. So then the motion, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
Yes, I second.
Great. The vote has been made by Vice Chair Salo and seconded by Commissioner Tu. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tu?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
I'm voting now.
Vice Chair Salo?
That's fine.
Yes.
Chair Roma?
I will abstain because I wasn't at the last meeting.
Motion passes.
Okay. We have no items for a public hearing, so we'll go on to item 4, staff item.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. Thank you for participating and tuning into tonight's Design Review Commission meeting. My name is Samantha T. Walsart, Planning Manager with the Community Development Department. As mentioned, there are no public hearing items this evening. There is one item on the agenda, and that's the project preview before the Commission for comments. Copies of the agenda and the staff report for tonight's meeting are available on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com and also on the table by the entrance. If there are any speakers that wish to speak on the item, the speaker would need to fill out a speaker card and submit the slip to the recording secretary, which is Christine this evening. And the requirement would be to write down the item number, and then the speakers will be called up one by one to speak. Again, no decisions will be made by the Design Review Commission this evening. For the preview item, staff will be providing a brief summary of the project, followed by a presentation from the applicant team. Then the Commission will ask clarifying questions of the applicant team and provide feedback comments. So with that, Madam Chair, member of the Commission, staff is ready to provide a brief summary of item A.
Great. If you can make the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. Tonight's item is a project preview for a proposed 5-story mixed-use project at 1975 South Delmar Avenue. The purpose of tonight's preview is to provide information to the Commission about the proposed project and to receive preliminary comments from the Commission pertaining to the architectural design. The project architect is here tonight and will be providing a detailed presentation to the Commission, so I'm just going to provide a brief summary. The project site is zoned mixed-use corridor residential within the Valley Boulevard specific plan. The project proposes to merge 3 parcels together and demolish the 3 existing buildings, which are currently occupied by automotive repair businesses. The proposed project would construct a mixed-use building 5 stories tall with commercial uses on the ground floor, residential units on the upper floors, and 2 levels of subterranean parking. The project would provide an affordable housing component, and they request concessions or incentives based on the state density bonus law. The current proposal will require a precise plan of design, density bonus, and master sign program to be considered and approved by the Design Review Commission at a later date. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions, or I could turn it over to the applicant to provide their presentation. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, would the Commission like the applicant team to provide their presentation at this time?
Yes, please.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming here and for giving us a few moments of your time. My name is John Kelly. I'm a member of the applicant team. Behind me is Rob Tyler and the clients, and then I think you know this gentleman as well. I'm going to just get started. I might need some time to get used to this. Perfect. Okay. As stated, my name is John Kelly. I'm a principal with Tyler and Kelly Architecture in Pasadena. Rob Tyler is right behind me. We're a boutique firm. Our bread and butter work is mixed use, multifamily. However, we do some residential custom homes as well. We've done a number of different unit types or unit quantities, all the way down from a handful of units up to 100 unit plus projects. Most of our work is centered in the San Gabriel Valley, so Pasadena, Arcadia, and the surrounding neighborhoods, but we do have experience in many other jurisdictions as well. I'm going to walk you through some of the design considerations that we looked over when we were looking at this project. I'll start with the context, move over to the planning, and then go into the character of the building at the very end. This is the site located on Del Mar and Glendon, just north of the 110 freeway. It's located in the Valley Boulevard specific plan, mixed-use commercial retail. To the west and immediately adjacent to the site is an R2 site, and nearby proximity to the east is an R3 site, or R3 zoning, rather. The local context from top left down to bottom right is the one-story Glendon Way neighborhood. Across the street to the north is the gas station, the mobile gas station. And across the street from Del Mar is another mixed-use community. To the south of us is the Highway Express Lane on-ramp. And then in the middle there are the on-site conditions, which staff noted as automotive. Across from Del Mar again is Loftus Drive, again a series of 1- and 2-story buildings. To the north is a little bit more dense construction. You'll notice that, and you've probably seen these projects recently. The one, that one is an 81-unit multi-use or mixed-use project. There's the Hyatt and the Hyatt Edition. There's also the Province, which is 3/4 mile away, which is 127 units. So we're going to be showing you a project that's similar in scale, but we wanted to put this up just for reference, that there are some big projects that are going on nearby. Our Bible for the purposes of this project was the document that you see to the left. The mixed-use regulations are enumerated here. Most importantly are the FAR density, height setbacks, and lot coverage, along with parking. As staff noted, we are pursuing the state affordable housing component. We're looking to achieve 2 concessions for this project, the first being FAR, the second being number of stories. This is a table that we passed along to staff last week, which shows the base amount of market rate units and then the total units that we're looking for this project. If you hone in on the bold right there, we're hovering around 93 to 94 units total. And our proposed design has these metrics included with it. You'll notice in red are some disparities between our proposed design and the mixed-use regulations. The FAR is exceeding the 2.0, and the height is exceeding 4 stories. Those are the 2 concessions that we were striving to achieve. You'll also notice that there's a lot coverage number highlighted as well, and that one is below the threshold of 80%, which, again, we're in communication with staff to go over the pros and cons of that. In terms of plan development, to the left you'll see the ground floor, and to the right you'll see the upper floors with the property line demarcated in bold. We have a 15-foot rear setback on the site. We have 5-foot and 3-foot street dedications on Glendon and Del Mar respectively. We also have a required 25-foot cornered chamfer. And for respect of our R2 neighbors, we are pulling back the building about 15 feet, even though in the specific plan it's not required. That leaves us with a buildable area shown in gray. If you take that buildable area and you wrap a upside-down J with a 66-foot wide double-loaded corridor, you get a diagram that looks something like this. The core is located on the top corner in a logical location with its entry off of Glendon Way, the secondary street. Offset from the street intersection are 2 possible locations for a driveway. And in terms of program on the first floor, we're considering an anchor commercial going on the corner with secondary commercial going along Glendon Way and tertiary commercial on Del Mar Avenue. The reason being that we are in close proximity to that freeway express lane and not considering a heavy amount of pedestrian flow at that location. Some residual space that we have, we're allocating for residential. And if we turn that over to what we're actually proposing, it's to be a restaurant, a series of live-work units, a bank, and townhouses. If you extrapolate that to our current design, we have the driveway here with its driveway access points, the residential lobby from Glendon, the restaurant, 4 live works, 3 townhouses, and a bank. What you'll see also in purple is just back of house. There's some parking, some bicycle parking, and some trash enclosures. On the upper floors, we have 25 units per floor. The breakdown of that is 8 one-bedrooms, 10 one-bed plus dens, 6 two-beds, and 1 3-bed. That equates to 94 units total, less the top floor, which has a few less units. Going down below level, there's residential parking with its core, visitor parking with its core, and 2 gates to separate the two. The parking count is broken down as follows, with 202 spaces total. In terms of the exterior character, we sort of wordsmith this that we're redefining the Gateway to the Valley Boulevard specific plan. If you can read between the lines on that, that means that we're looking around at the context, and in our opinion, we think that this is an opportunity to create something new for the neighborhood that doesn't necessarily reflect the current context. So you could squint your eyes and imagine that if you follow the VBSP, you could get 4-story buildings or potentially 5-story buildings if they seek affordable housing to a streetscape and block face that looks like this. So what we do with this project is similar to what we do with many of our projects. We started a sort of exploratory process to see what type of character works with us, to see what type of character works with the clients, and then ultimately to see what types of character works with y'all. So we started with some sketches based on precedent. This was an example of something that was a little more contemporary, or a little more modern. I'm sorry, a little more traditional. This one was a little more modern. This one was a blend of the two. And this one differentiated the masses to break down the scale a little bit. Coming from the south, this is an entirely new study, independent of the other ones, but again, a more traditional study. This one showing some setbacks and some more of a piano nobile emphasis with the balconies on the second floor. This one de-emphasizes the corner chamfer with a series of massing step-downs and material changes. And this one breaks down massing even further into a series of similar masses. All of those together, we started sort of picking and choosing which we liked and which we didn't like. We liked the major tower elements on the northeast. We liked the minor tower element on the south, the fortified base elements, material variation, top floor articulation, overhanging elements, chamfer elements, and that's it. These are elements that are also seen in the specific plan handout, which we were following for our zoning constraints as well. And as we started to model this up, this is the Delmar Avenue elevation, which includes that major tower element on the northeast, the minor tower element, fortified base. We have some material variation here. We have board-formed concrete, aluminum, stucco, and brick veneer. And you'll notice that the brick veneer also comes up on the tower element to the top of the 4th floor. The top floor articulation, we have a series of setbacks to emphasize a more of a penthouse feeling in that area. We have some overhanging projections on the more contemporary facades. And we have that chamfer element not only required by the specific plan, but also to emphasize the tower. This is the West Glendon Way elevation. Similar comments to the other elevation. This one has a series of 3 large bays with required balconies. And this is a perspective street view from the northwest looking to the southeast. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer, do you have any questions?
Yes. How much comparison did you all do to get to this stage as to how mixed use is doing in today's market? Not just in San Gabriel, but just in the neighboring cities also.
We have
Did you do any in-depth analysis on those comparisons?
We have somewhat of an ace in our sleeve in that our developer is a real estate agent. So she and her husband have been vetting our design decisions in terms of the square footages and the unit matrix.
Are you satisfied?
Am I satisfied personally?
Huh?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay. I mean, everybody.
Everybody is, yeah.
Okay.
We've done similar projects in other jurisdictions, so they all kind of have the same similar metrics. They're not too heavy on commercial.
Even insofar as size is concerned, size of units, size of the retail that's going to be there also?
Yeah, we've been sizing our retail relatively smaller these days, in sort of
Did that include
economic
any
adjustment.
financial analysis for
I'm sorry?
comparison? Did that include financial analysis for the comparison?
Not on our part for the firm. No, not at this point.
For similar projects?
For similar projects, we have had agencies help us with that.
Any additional questions?
Hmm?
Any additional questions?
Not right at this moment.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Commissioner Tu?
Yes, I do have a couple questions. So the applicant mentioned that actually the FAR is 3.83, something like that. It's almost double.
3.53, yes.
3.5. So it's almost double. And is that because the state density bonuses that you are able to do that?
That's one of the concessions that we're seeking, and that's a current dialogue between us as the applicant and staff, as well as I believe staff forwarded some of our documents to the city attorney last week. So it's kind of a work in progress.
Okay, the reason I ask is actually like it may substantially change the building mass because I mean the surrounding the existing project site, the surrounding all like 1 story.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most is 2-story building, and this one is up to 5-story. And I just wonder what is the possibility of getting that approved, so that it has implication to the design as well.
Yeah.
So that's the first question I have, and the second one is actually I don't see any articulation about the open space requirement, because I only see like large balconies. Is there any common open space?
There is, yes, thank you. I did not point that out in the presentation, but there is open space that it's on the south west areas of the project. We're largely using areas that are on the perimeter of the building that aren't allocated or required to be setbacks. So we're setting back the building further and getting that open space requirement achieved.
So is that a triangle space on the ground floor?
Oh, part of that, I was mostly referring to the areas that are adjacent to the west property lines, but there is a triangular portion on the south that is open, yes.
So are you sure that would be complying with the open space requirement? Because it seems like it's pretty narrow in a way. I think it's challenging to actually provide proper amenities in this narrow street of green spaces. And I didn't see the floor plan for the the roof of the podium. Would
Mhm.
there be opportunity to provide open space over there, or like some common amenities, due to the fact that it's a lot of units in this complex?
Mhm. It could be. That was something that we did look at earlier. Right now, the economics of the project doesn't support that, but that's something that we'll certainly take into consideration and look forward to, exploring more.
Okay, just want to make sure that the common open space would be compliant with the core requirement, and also it's important to provide that to like a large complex like this, and then we can see the unit at the top floor. Those penthouse units seems pretty luxurious, and it's hard to associate with affordable housing and also lack of amenity space.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my opinion. So I also have a question about the loading area for commercial, and I don't see a particular like loading area dedicated to the commercial program yet.
I could be mistaken, but I believe for this size of commercial, a dedicated loading dock is not required. However, there could be provisions made for guest parking, whereby loading could occur when guests are not parked there. In specific, moving in and out for residents.
Because it's like a 2,500 square foot restaurants at the corner, right? And also the bank. And
Mhm.
I mean, I believe there would be loading requirement for the bank as well, because both of the commercial component is right at the entrance of the parking.
Mhm.
And then if there's a lot of loading activities happening at the entrance, it might not be good um, for the general circulation.
Okay.
So just a reminder
Okay.
for the development of the project. Yep. And in the drawing we received, I don't see like the material about the project. I saw you have articulated in the presentation, but because it's so far away, I wasn't able to see it. So that is one thing that is really important for the design review board to review in terms of the materiality of the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's certainly something that we would present to you, or we would have presented, when we begin the formal entitlement process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tu. Vice Chair Salo?
Yeah. First of all, my first comment is that this building type in this location makes sense to me. I always thought it was a little unusual to be getting on or off the freeway and sneaking down a lane behind somebody's backyard with like a 4-foot chain link fence. So having some type of building type that acts as a buffer between the freeway and the single family or R2 housing makes a lot of sense. I do have some questions about the wall on the property line on the west side of the property. How tall is that wall?
Right now we're holding 6 feet for property line walls.
Okay. Next question, this could be for either staff or the applicant. I noticed that some of those properties on the other side of that wall are really close to the property line, and I wonder, are they on their setback, or is that just something that, I don't know if you would know, but
I would have to check the survey to see. Yeah,
but
I'm
you
not-
probably noticed it when you're looking at the site plan that
It's very close. Yeah.
yeah. So like, you'd need like an eccentric footing for that wall or something, just not to
Yeah.
to be invasive to what's going on the other side of the wall. I do have some concern that it's inevitable that those neighbors are going to be looking up and they're going to see windows and balconies. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. And your tenants are going to be looking out and they're going to be looking down onto people's properties. So I would suggest that, maybe landscaping or some type of architectural feature to draw people's attention or to draw their eye as they're looking up or looking down, and maybe take away from some of apprehensions or concerns that they might have. I think that could be helpful. Also maybe to raise the height of the wall possibly a bit. 'Cause 6 feet, I think, is quite easy to jump over, I guess. On the Delmar side of the of the site, the vehicular entrance and exit, the parking lot makes perfect sense to me. It's very efficient. It works. I am a little concerned because when I drive down there to that freeway on-ramp, I'm anticipating to speed up, and people are going to be slowing down. I mean, I'm sure it occurred to you as well. So I don't know what can be done about that, but that kind of jumped out at me.
Certainly, yeah. Do you want me to comment on that, or do you?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, that's something that we looked at with reservation as well, and we visited the site, my partner and I, independently, and took note of the traffic flows and the speed at which people are going southbound on Delmar to get onto that freeway. So we have been actively engaging with Caltrans to work with them to see if that access point will be allowed. We'll also likely be conducting a preliminary traffic analysis as well.
Okay. And then my final comment is, given the fact that you guys are increasing the FAR and the extra floor and building height of the building, I was a little surprised that you opted for the tower scheme, where it emphasizes the verticality of the elevations. I would have thought that you guys might have leaned towards one of the more horizontal schemes, just to kind of de-emphasize the height a bit. Aside from that, though, I think it's a very handsome design. I think the top level is done very well. It definitely elevates the building. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Salo. Before I make any comments, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Chairperson. Sorry, thank you. I had the opportunity to do a preview with the applicant, and I'm pleased to say that some of the things that we talked about have already been incorporated, like the excessive dead-end corridors and improvement to the parking area, relocation of the elevators, and so a lot of good things have happened, so I just wanted to note that. Also, I think the building's very handsome. I like that the top floor is treated as a penthouse and setback, so that there's more emphasis to the lower mass. Commissioner Salo's comment about the tower element is an interesting one, because it does accentuate the vertical in contrast to trying to keep the building low. But all in all, I think it's a very good project. I just looked up the minimum open space, and it says a minimum of 10% of the net lot area shall be provided as landscape common open space at ground level, designed as plazas, courtyards, and other public open space. Setback areas shall not be considered to satisfy this requirement. Open space plazas shall include 50 to 80% of hardscape areas that may be designed to include amenities like water features, seating areas, and public art installations. Hardscape paving may include brick, stone, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so there's a requirement that needs to be met. That's all.
Great, thank you, thank you. I just have a few questions. My first question is, the residential, is that going to be rental or ownership?
It's going to be rental.
Rental?
Yes.
Okay. For the affordable housing, that makes that part that so much easier than doing ownership. But what that means on the other end is you'll have more people coming in and out. Usually the owners stay a little longer, so you're going to have your tenants coming in and out, maybe a year with their lease and changing from that, even with the ground floor live-work units. So that's, so I think as you look at those things, kind of the amenities that Commissioner Chu was talking about, that's where that makes a big difference. And there's been probably the most successful project that I saw with rental amenities off a freeway was in the south, like, oh gosh, in the South Bay area. And I forget who the developer is, but they have a wonderful mural, Stephen Ferry mural that is, you can see it on the freeway, and it's a great project. They do have that rooftop uh, garden and kind of gathering area for the residents. There's all kinds of different perks for the residents, with people living and working at home. They had, those joint office areas. They had an area for coffee. They had a little coffee bar in the interior. I thought that project was actually excellent. If I didn't live in San Gabriel, I considered going over there and renting a unit, but it was probably the best residential project that I've ever seen, and the amenities. So that if you have a chance, if you don't know about it, I would definitely look at some of what they did. I think the developer was Graystar. I'm not too sure, but I
Okay.
think it was Graystar. Um, and I think it's nice that you clearly mark the visitor parking, where the visitor parking is segregated from the residential, and it's also easy access. I worked a lot in Pasadena, and Rob knows that. And there's some projects that have visitor parking, but they put their commercial tenants having first priority with, those reserved parking spaces, so the visitors have to look a little
Circle.
bit more for parking. And in one area, I paid $15 to park on the fourth level subterranean. So that's not probably the most customer friendly. And ultimately, as a long-term San Gabriel resident, I do want to have this project be successful. I lobbied for dedicated public parking on that building, but the city didn't back me up. Rob, it's Playhouse Plaza, if you don't know. And then I'm concerned about kind of that open space and the landscaping for the rear and side yards. Both Commissioner Salo and Commissioner Tu kind of talked about that. Because you have the R2, and for the most part, it's all one story. That's probably not the best use right by a freeway, but that's the existing use, and we have to deal with the people who live there. So looking at ways, right now we only have that 15-foot, and so if there's things that you can do with trees, with something,
Yep.
cypress, something to bring the eye up and kind of help with that massing from the building and soften that, I think is going to be important. The other thing that Commissioner Salo kind of talked about was the windows. And on another project, because the San Gabriel City staff, when they did their plans for Valley Boulevard and also for San Gabriel Boulevard and some other areas such as the hospital area, you have the residential and then you have the taller buildings. And on one project on San Gabriel Boulevard, what we worked with the developer team to put smaller windows that face the residential areas. So the windows were higher up, so they could have been,
Oh, okay.
4-6 feet, but it wouldn't be someplace where someone could just like look down and peer. They would see more out into the horizon. And I think things such as that will help
Okay.
everything with how all of that works out. And I think Commissioner Tu made an excellent point regarding loading, the loading zones. They're all, Del Mar is red zone, and I don't think there's any
I would imagine,
parking.
yeah.
There's nothing there
Yeah.
to, so either you cut into that sidewalk and push the building, but that will eliminate some of your building footprint. But you're going to have to look at Glendon, you know, looking at the red zones on Glendon and, you know, other parking depending on how the restaurant is going to have bigger trucks. The bank is going to definitely need, you know, their Brinks type of truck to get money in and out. And thinking of that with how all of that's going to work is going to be imperative for the success of those two sites. In Glendon, I think it's important, and you can get brownie points with the residential area there. If you have added amenities on Glendon, I see you have good trees right now, shown here both on Del Mar and on Glendon, but if you can do things to soften up the trees on, you know, on that street, do extra amenities. One thing that I've noticed as a resident is that internet is not the best. I've had to have amplifiers in my house for all the Zoom meetings so I wouldn't get cut off. But if your project is going to improve internet service or any type of amenities that other people can access, I think that's going to be important to try to highlight. And I would definitely welcome public art for this project. Like I said, the one off in the South Bay was like over the top, and I think that mural was around $50,000. But I don't think, depending on your project and your budget, the 1% for public art, that might be a little different, and you have more flexibility. But I would look at those public art opportunities because this is a site, it's definitely an improvement of what's there already, but people are going to see, the no-growthers are going to see this as, okay, this is a little big, so anything that you can do to promote, okay, this is what we're adding to the community, I think those things are going to be very important. At this point, we have all talked about our comments. Comments from anything else on this? Just comments from the planning manager?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the commission, no comments or additional comments from staff, and there are no public comments at this time either, for the record. So it's just whether or not there's any additional follow-up comments from the commission. Otherwise, if not, I believe the applicant team has received many comments this evening. Hopefully they're helpful for the further refinement of the project. And the project will be coming back to the commission at a relatively future date in time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. With that, we go to item number 6, Commissioner comments on conference, meetings, and reports. Each commissioner may address the commission and public on matters of general information and or concern. This is also a time for the commissioners to report on any conferences or meetings that they have attended. So with that, Commissioner Myers, do you have any comments, just general comments?
Yes, I do. I should have asked a question. I'm wondering if these folks have had the vision to look at, from a residential standpoint, how these new laws being passed around the state about people can build, what, 6 houses on one lot? Have they looked at that competitive factor insofar as their industry is concerned? Because the residential side is the side that's taken the most hits in that market. So they may take a big hit. I mean, if I'm out there looking at it and I can put my house on a lot, I'm not going to go to this type of a project. So I'm wondering if they've looked at that. They should.
Thank you. I'll have most development teams do their pro forma and economic analysis before they do a significant financial investment. This will be several $1,000,000, and I am sure they have all kinds of different projections to make sure they're getting the return on their.
Are you sure that they looked at the issue that is raised?
I don't know specifically.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we should get it on the plate right now so they can look at it. Because it should be looked at.
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the Commission, that will ultimately be a part of the official submittal information that the applicant team provides to the Commission.
Okay.
The purpose of the item tonight was really to introduce the project to the Commission, to get preliminary comments on the direction of the design, the architectural style, the massing, the scale, open space, which the Commission did provide comments on. As mentioned by staff, there will be further refinements to the project based on the Commission's comments. There may be some potential for the project to come back in additional time, if not prior to the formal review of the project or even during the formal review. So there are at least 1 or 2 more reviews to come before the Commission for further comments. But as mentioned by Madam Chair, the market study, the financials of the project, well, whatever the team makes available to staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Tu?
Oh, no, I don't have any other comments.
Commissioner Salo?
No, I don't have anything to share. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I only have one comment, and that is I have been told that the scaffolding around the historic San Gabriel Mission is going to start coming down. Most of the exterior work has been done. There's still some interior work, and that completion date is still up in the air. But when we have City Hall and we've been seeing something enclosed with the temporary fence and scaffolding, it's nice to know that that will all be coming down on the exterior, even though the interior might not be completed. I did get a preview last week of the interior, and it's looking really nice.
Yes, and the windows are beautiful as well.
Oh, I know. I know. The green glass is gone. Okay. With that, we'll go to item number 7, to the adjournment of our Design Review Commission meeting to the regular meeting of the Design Review Commission on Monday, September 26th at 6:30 p.m. here at City Hall, 425 South Mission Drive, 2nd floor, Council Chambers. Thank you.